Okay, it's 7 p.m. now. Yeah, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And can we have roll call, please?
Member Cho,
Here.
Member Lindsay,
Here.
Member Martinez-Moore,
Here.
Member Oji,
Here.
and Chair Tranquil.
Here. Okay, now, does anyone want to read the land acknowledgement? Okay.
The City of Albany recognizes that we occupy the land originally protected by the Confederated Villages of Lejeune. We acknowledge the genocide that took place on these lands and must make strides to repay the moral debt that is owed to this indigenous people, specifically the Ohlone tribe. We thank them for their contributions, which have transformed our community and will continue to bring forth growth and unity. The City of Albany commits to sustaining ongoing relationships with the tribe and together build a better future for all that now make this their home.
Okay, thank you. And now we go on to the approval of minutes from October 1st.
Move to approve the minutes.
I second.
Member Cho,
Yes.
Member Lindsay,
Yes.
Member Martinez-Moore,
Yes.
Member Oji,
Yes.
Chair Tranquil.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Is there any public comment?
No public comment, looks like.
Okay. Next, item 4, announcements. Do we have any announcements?
I couldn't remember what the rules were for when our terms end. And so just wanted to ask John about that.
Certainly. So your term will end this month. We'll be contacting advisory body members either late this week or early next to let you know that if you're interested in serving another term, you'll have to reapply.
And I would add that if you send an email to whoever appointed you, just let them know also that you're interested, so that you're not just another person in a stack of applications. That can be helpful. I had an announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, question. Are new people applying for this commission?
We haven't received, so it's not an open period for accepting applications yet.
Oh, okay.
And when is that period?
The vacancy notice will go out either late this week or early next.
Oh, at the same time as we're told.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that I plan on talking to council, possibly staff, about the rules for what makes a quorum and what doesn't, because it's ambiguous in the Brown Act, and I think the city has the right, as I read it anyway, has the right as a charter city to say that a quorum can be a quorum of however many seats are filled, instead of being the size of the body, because it can be completely disabling. There have been some, never us, but some smaller commissions that have had like 3 people on them, and then all 3 have to show up in order to have a quorum. It also interferes with the spirit of the Brown Act. So there's a bunch of reasons, but I shouldn't get into discussion. I'll be working on that on the side. It's not really a commission thing.
Any other announcements? Okay. Now I move on to item 5, presentations. There are no presentations. And now I move on to item 6, which is discussion and possible action on matters related to the following items. 6-1 is the equity statement and the potential recommendation to council.
Okay, so since our last meeting, I did ask some of the clubs at my school Like, I asked BSU on what they thought about the city equity statement that I drafted before, and I haven't heard back from anyone yet. So I think I'm gonna go in again next meeting, which is, I think, next Wednesday, and then maybe check in again to see if there are any further suggestions. But yeah, that's what happened after I asked BSU. Nothing. Yeah.
And I'll check in with the parent engagement groups after our meeting. And I think we have to be kind of assertive, you know, and
Yeah.
grab somebody and sit around and say, okay, what do you think? Which one of these do you like best? Or what would you like to see in an equity statement or something like that? Because if we just ask, you know, let me know if you have any feedback or something like that,
Yeah.
you saw what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, since the last meeting, I did fix some parts of the equity statement, like based on your guys' suggestion. So there are some changes made, but then me and Jim also drafted some other possible city equity statements, and it's up on the screen, or it's on this piece of paper, but yeah, do you want to read yours out loud, or I could just read them out loud?
We could alternate or something to make it less boring.
Okay, sure.
I don't think it'll take too long because it's not that much.
Yeah.
You want to do option one and
Sure.
you can do the odds, I'll do the evens.
Yeah, okay. So option 1 was the one I had before, and I just fixed it up a little bit, but okay. The City of Albany is committed to fostering a community where all individuals without regard to race, gender, religion, and sexuality are treated with dignity, respect, and fairness. We believe diversity strengthens our city and that equity is essential to ensuring that every resident has the opportunity to thrive. We are walking towards creating an inclusive environment where differences are celebrated and barriers to equal opportunity are eliminated.
So option 2 is not really an equity statement. Option 2 is just me throwing some ideas out of things that I think could be in one, and you know, could turn into an equity statement if we wanted to pursue it, right? Or these pieces could be added in. Basically, the thing about 2 is that an attempt to make it a little stronger and a little more commitment. So bullet point 1 is that the mayor and city manager will produce an annual report on the state of equity in Albany. Bullet point 2 is recognizing some realities, specifically that racism, sexism are real, present today, and they're present in everyday life, and that we recognize that dominant groups have real day-to-day privileges that others do not enjoy. And bullet point 3 is that we commit ourselves to fully implementing the racial equity impact plan as soon as this is practicable.
Quick question. Are you saying that these would be integrated into one of these 2 options? Is that?
Or made into a new one or something.
It's just kind of there, and
Yeah.
we can use it if
We kind of ran out of time. I'm like, you know, we shouldn't be discussing these specifically yet till we read them all out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and option 3, this one is based on the Albany Diversify Our Narrative student team. They have their separate equity statement or something like that, and we just kind of changed it so that
We
it
edited
applies to,
it to make it more.
like city friendly.
Yeah.
But okay. Albany is a city that is dedicated to anti-racism. This is needed in response to systemic racism that has been occurring for over 400 years in this country. As a city, we recognize the influence that city and school leadership have in fostering a safe, supportive, and inclusive community. We believe creating this kind of environment should be one of Albany's top priorities. One important step towards achieving this goal is to fully implement Albany's Racial Equity Impact Plan. While this won't entirely resolve the issue of racism in Albany, we are confident that it will lead to positive change that is long overdue.
Okay, number 4, and for anybody who's listening, there's 5 of them. Number 4, I guess it's on their screen if they're looking at the meeting. If somebody is remotely connected, they're seeing that screen. Great.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. So number 4, this comes from the National League of Cities website. We welcome all people and recognize the rights of individuals to live their lives with dignity, free of discrimination based on their faith, race, national origin, or immigration status. We will continue our work in making our services and programs accessible and open to all individuals.
So 4 and 5, these are just sources that I kind of took inspiration from, so doesn't, yeah. But okay, number 5 is from University of Washington, and it says, we condemn the racism, discrimination, and fear that permeates communities across our nation. We stand in solidarity with protesters and activists who condemn the racial injustice that pervades America, and we commit ourselves to do our part in seeking immediate change toward racial justice.
Thanks for all the work on these.
Of course.
I have some thoughts. The first one, I guess it kind of goes with one of the other ones. It made me think about it. For it says without regard to race, gender, religion, and sexuality. Also, we should add like ability, like, right? And then one of those brought up immigration status.
Yeah.
I think considering our current climate, that's probably also important to include. And then, yeah, I like what you already worked on. I think for the option 3, the racism occurring over 400 years, that's like specific to Black people. So it doesn't really address everyone. We're supposed to address everyone, right?
Right.
So I appreciate it, but we probably shouldn't include that. In our
That second sentence?
But, yeah, in the option 3.
Or would it be the second sentence, or just those words for over 400 years or something like that?
I mean, the whole sentence is specific to Black people. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's just like that really only addresses that. Anyone who typically reads that is in the United States will know that that is about Black people. But we have to include everyone. I do like as a city, we recognize that the influence that city and school leadership have in fostering a safe, supportive, and inclusive community. I don't know how to include that, but I think they said that very well. And then I just had a question about the ideas that you had, Jim.
Yeah.
It says, one of them was we commit ourselves to fully implementing our racial equity impact plan as soon as possible. So I was looking at it, and one of the recommendations from that plan was to revise the city mission and vision statements. This statement that we're working on, that's just for our thing, right? That's not like the whole city, right?
Yeah, another one of them was to have a racial equity statement.
Okay.
I think they fit together, but they're not exactly the same thing.
This one
That's
says
how I read it.
Okay, this one says like the city one. So, or is this, if I'm considering what you're saying, then this would also be for the city, or?
This is for the city.
It's for the city, like the main website, not like you
Yeah.
have to dig and find the racial equity.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I mean, it might be in both places or something on the website, but whatever.
That's cool.
Also, I would like add for the list of, where is it? Committed to fostering a community where all individuals without regard to,
Which option?
1,
Okay.
the like race, gender, religion, sexuality. There was also the other one that like talked about national origin, I think.
Yeah.
We can add that too. I feel like there's also like a lot of things we can add.
That's
I
the
know.
problem, yeah. It can get to be, a list of 20 things.
Yeah.
The other one says it pretty, we welcome all people. I mean, it's
Well, like-
pretty, yeah, yes. Maybe we could switch that one.
And I sort of feel like there's, like there could be 20 of them. And that it would probably be better to have a shorter list with the main ones and then say, and everyone or something like that. So that, I'm not the greatest writer in the world. To me, race and gender are the two really monstrous ones. Recently, anti-Semitism and Islamophobia have been kind of spiking a bit because of what's going on in the world. And then the immigration status is certainly a hot, very, very hot, threatening item. As a gay man, I'm not feeling like, if we had to drop something, I wouldn't mind dropping the sexuality one because we're pretty accepted at this point, but of course trans kids aren't in the whole country. So I don't know. It's tricky. Do we put in 20 things or do we pick some smaller subset and then have something else in there to indicate the other 17 items?
If we're gonna do it, just add the 17 items. I know it's not 17, but
Yeah.
if we're gonna do it, then we gotta do it.
I think we either generalize everything or we specify everything because I just don't think it's right to like pick and choose which one's more important than the other because I feel like that just kind of depends on the person also. So maybe generalizing the whole thing would be an easy way out, but we could list like multiple and I'm fine with either, but I just feel like picking and choosing shouldn't be the way to go.
Yeah, I agree. Because if we do it like based on like what's currently more of a problem, then we could like change it a lot. And also, that's like doesn't include other people. But I feel like if we like, I don't know if we can like take like all of the, I don't know. I feel like generalizing it might be like the better way to go since I feel like there might just always be something that we miss.
Makes sense.
Kobe, what do you think?
I think that there needs to be some sort of specification, but not an over specification of the classes as we are stating. I think a generalized statement that includes a list of 3 to 5 impacted marginalized groups will be great and more effective coming across than an overgeneralized list or a just very, very narrow marginalized list. So I think somewhere in the middle in between those two would be my preferred statement.
Yeah, I guess my problem is, people are making good points. It's a tricky situation, right? But we welcome all people. Just feels a little
Too inclusive?
a little bit soft, a little bit like. Scaredy cat or something. I don't know exactly what. So I would go for, sometimes if language is too general, it starts meaning less and less, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I would go for the meeting in the middle thing that Kobe was talking about, or for just listing them.
So then I have a question. We have 6, I think, on here. Well, and unless we include the something national origin, that would be 7. But if we did the 6, my question is about the gender and the sexuality. You can teach me, but do do we need both, or like what would be more important?
To me, it would be gender because of what's going on in the world right now. But if we were just going to have one or the other, if we're going to name everything, we'd name both of those, of course. The other thing about race is that somebody's going to criticize us for not saying race and ethnicity, right? They're not the same thing. I feel like it's, I mean, they really aren't the same thing, but, you know, if you have to explain to somebody, if it takes a paragraph or 5 minutes to explain the difference to somebody, then why are you putting it in? You know, it's too detailed and nerdy or something. But race and ethnicity are not the same thing, of course. But so if we said race, ethnicity, gender, religion, sexuality, ability, immigration status, and national origin, that would be 3. I guess that would be 8 or 9 items. 4, 5, 6, 7. I know you're 8. You're right. If we added in ethnicity to your list.
We should also maybe consider socioeconomic status.
Yeah. No, there have been people on the Facebook groups in Albany, not recently, when we're talking about racism, who come back with, well, what's really important is socioeconomic status. It's whether or not you're a homeowner, or whether or not you're, you know, a white-collar worker. That's what's really important. It's like, okay, you know. So somebody will say that, guaranteed, because they've already done it, you know. We're up to 9. Do I hear 10?
Wait, we're at 9, I missed one.
Socioeconomic status.
Okay, and then what are the other ones?
So what I have is race. Okay, if you just like race, gender, religion, and sexuality are the 4 that was on there. And then we added on ability, immigration status, national origin, ethnicity, and social economic status as,
Ethnicity.
you know, I mean, we haven't made any decisions yet, but as things we might want to add in there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could just add them all. Who's actually going to read this?
Hopefully a couple of people.
And those couple of people will feel like we really included everyone.
Yeah. I mean, the council will read it and staff will read it, and I think activists will read it, and, you know, like that. So probably more than 2, but yeah, I can live with that. You know, I'm okay with like naming a few, like what Kobe said, or naming them all, I guess, if we can just find a way to word it well. Can we leave this one undecided and pivot to a different question?
I'm fine with that.
That's all right?
Sure.
Which is, of these 5 options, which ones do each people like as their favorite 1 or 2? Or which ones are acceptable to you?
1 and 4.
Okay, so
1.
Yeah, but 1 is best.
I feel like I don't like 4 because it's not specific enough to Albany.
which ones do you like?
I like 1. Also, I think there's parts of 3 maybe, but also like the specificity of 2 is good.
So you would take 1 and then edit it from 2 and 3?
Yeah.
What did you say, Kobe?
1.
Okay. Now I'm in trouble because I have to say, I guess I like 1 best, but possibly pulling pieces from 2, 3, and 4 that we like. Because, I mean, 4 is short and sweet, which is pretty nice. If we're going to say that we're going to start with one, then that would be a pretty big decision, and then we're going to see what people would like to add in from 2, 3, and 4. And Charlie and I could go off, not Charlie, Aaron and I could go off and edit it, come up with a proposal, and get feedback from the parent engagement groups. You can twist people's arms until they give you some answers from the student groups. And we could come back in January with an actual real proposal. John reminded me that although our terms end in January, I mean, in December, we can still have a January meeting with the same people if appointments haven't been made.
Oh, okay.
Right? Correct, John?
That's right, there is an interim period between the end of the term and the next.
I mean, a lot of times council just gets sworn in, and then, and they're starting to look at applications, and there's not much there, so the city lets all the commissions do their thing in January, unless like they've filled it with different people or something like that, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna ask, are you saying for number 2, the first bullet point, that you want them to start doing that, or did you already do that?
So we could ask for this to be a work item or something, but I was trying to put some meat on the thing. A little bit of oomph in it is what all this is from. I'm going to be really blunt here. We believe diversity strengthens our city and that equity is essential to ensuring that every resident has the opportunity to thrive. We're not going to actually do anything about it. We're walking towards creating an inclusive environment where differences are celebrated and barriers to equal opportunity are eliminated. We're not actually walking, we're just talking. So that's where the result of that sort of feeling was the bullet points in 2. I don't think the first bullet point actually makes sense here because it's more of a policy thing that we could recommend to council, right? Something like that. Or that maybe that would be a job that we would have, right? Doing a report each year on the state of equity in Albany. But I think that might add some, that can get press, that gets people's attention because it's a report, and it could be helpful. It could be that we could add the third bullet point in. Bullet point 2 is too radical. It'll trigger a lot of people. It's true, but
It's radical?
I think what would happen, I think it's true, right? I think it's just obviously true, but not everybody agrees, and I think that there will be a lot of people who will kind of be very unhappy about it.
Oh, the people who read it, like the...
Old timers, people who are particularly fragile on this issue, that sort of thing are going to go, especially, the second sentence. We recognize that dominant groups, they're just,
They're talking about the other bullet.
the second sentence in the second bullet point. I wouldn't mind if it was in there, but we're going to make some people pretty uncomfortable. Maybe that's not a bad thing. But I think we could definitely add in bullet point 3 with a note that once we've actually implemented it, that could be removed, right? But I would love to see the city council commit itself to actually fully implementing the racial equity impact plan.
Minus the survey, right?
Survey's still on the racial equity impact plan. They could do it, but I think right now with the shortage of money and they feel bitten twice,
Yeah, I would can that. If I were them.
Well, we could make that recommendation too. I think it has value, but that's probably another discussion. But so if we were going to take something from option 2, well, Jeanette, are you saying maybe we should take the second bullet point? Add into,
I'm saying it's not radical, it's
oh,
just true.
okay. No.
How long do we want the statement to be?
They're usually pretty short, but I think we could do two paragraphs would be very reasonable. I don't think they have to be, one paragraph. What do you think?
Well, originally I was just thinking about a paragraph because I feel like if it's over a paragraph, people that do read it won't want to read it, and then no one will end up reading it. Like, I think it's good to just keep it kind of short and like direct. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because then people will actually read it. Yeah.
We could do like a lengthy paragraph. That's,
I feel like lengthy paragraph would like people would look at that and be like,
yeah.
be even less likely to read it than 2 paragraphs.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think we
That's
should
true.
like incorporate all the stuff that we talked about first and then see how it turns out. If it's too long, obviously I can cut some words down and condense sentences and think.
we could also present the commission, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay. I was done.
We could also present the commission with 2 options, a shorter version and a longer version, which could be, sometimes 2 paragraphs is easier to read than 1 long paragraph.
That's
which
true.
is,
Yeah.
I don't think 2 paragraphs is beyond people in Albany reading.
Okay, how about we replace sentence 2 in option 1 with sentence 2 in option 2?
The second bullet point, there's 2 sentences in that bullet point?
Yes, sentences.
Wait, sorry, what did you say?
Replace the second sentence in the first option
Okay.
with the second bullet point in the second option.
Okay.
So that's a proposal.
So the second bullet point is recognize that racism and sexism are real present day in everyday life, right? Not do you want to add that we recognize that dominant groups?
Yeah, it's the whole bullet point.
Okay.
Yeah, so then it would read, if I didn't make any edits, the City of Albany is committed to fostering a community where all individuals without regard to race, gender, religion, and sexuality are treated with dignity, respect, and fairness. We recognize that racism and sexism are real, present today, and in everyday life. We recognize that dominant groups have real day-to-day privileges that others do not enjoy. We are walking towards creating an inclusive environment where differences are celebrated and barriers to equal opportunity are eliminated. I'd read something like that, plus whatever other things we wanted to add as far as, immigration, socioeconomic status, whatever we decide to add.
Well, I think that the sentence that we replaced could have some like value to it because it shows like why we're doing it, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of like obvious, but like I don't know. Also, I think the second section of bullet point 2 of option 2 sounds odd.
Well, it needs to be rewritten. Like I said, I'm not a writer, so it's more the idea of it. But
Yeah.
so in particular, how would you edit that?
Well, I'm not a very good writer either, but the thing that I think sounds odd is like others do not enjoy. Like, I feel like
Well, that could be that non-dominant groups do not enjoy or something like that, I suppose.
well, no, it's like the others do not enjoy part because it's like,
Do not have access to? Do not have access to?
oops. Yeah, I think access is better because enjoy is like, well, they kind of obviously don't enjoy that. But I just don't like the word enjoy.
So we recognize that dominant groups have real day-to-day privileges that others do not have access to, or that others do not have?
The access, I think, is, like, I'll give you an example. we live here, not too far from here, and we have participated in some of the friendship camps, friendship club things for kids, but only sometimes because it's so expensive. So the only way we can like really participate is if they give something, and they did that during COVID or something like that. But otherwise, we just go to a different program because it's like more than double the price if you go somewhere else.
This is the YMCA?
No, I don't
Friendship-
even know how much that one costs. The friendship camp right here next to Ocean View. Where am I at?
Run by the city?
Yeah,
Uh-huh,
so like, it would be nice, but
right.
can you afford it? You know who can afford it.
Right.
Is real and day-to-day necessary? Or can we just have, there be recognized that DAMA groups have privileges that others do not enjoy? I don't know, I'm trying to like unwordy it.
Yeah, we recognize that dominant groups have privileges that others do not have access to. Okay,
Everyday privileges? No. Because there are lots of things. Want some more examples?
and I can give one that just came up like 2 days ago, which is that I was talking with a young black man that's just about to get his license. He has a car, somebody that I work with through the county. But he doesn't have insurance and he doesn't have his license yet. I'm like, you need to get your license and you need to make sure you're insured, because the fact of the matter is you are going to get stopped. You will not get away with that. And then the consequences are very unpleasant. And so, on the other hand, one of my sons, when he was 16 and didn't have his driver's license yet but knew how to drive, so yeah, go take the car and do something, right? That's just a day-to-day privilege that most of them people don't realize. But that's an example. We could go all night with this stuff. And then men have a tremendous number of privileges that women don't have, right? So that's what this is about. And they are everyday things. And it's the everyday things that are the most painful in a way, right? So it's, but instead of maybe real day-to-day, like everyday privileges, something like that.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Others,
Do not have access to.
can't access? Wait, I don't know. What's the difference? Do not, cannot,
I think do not have access to works.
don't. Okay. Okay.
Is everybody cool with doing what Jeanette recommends there, replacing sentence 2 and option 1 with bullet point 2 as modified?
Well, you go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, okay. Well, I still think that we believe diversity strengthens our city sentence. I mean, I feel like we should keep like some of it because it establishes like motivation besides just that it's wrong, I guess.
Are you suggesting inserting bullet point 2 above the second sentence then?
Well, but the walking toward creating an inclusive environment addresses
Oh, I
the
guess that's
diversity
true.
thing, right?
Yeah, I guess it does say that.
Or you could say creating a diverse, inclusive environment. I'm just making stuff up now.
Well, we're all making stuff up now, right? Literally. Wait, what?
I don't think we should say we believe diversity, strengthens our city, because we don't believe it. We're working toward it or walking toward something, but it would be different. Things would be different if we really believed it. like we would have money for this committee to actually do things. We have no money and we can't raise it. So we're just here. That would be a way to communicate that we actually believe in it. Really easy. My husband's on a different committee. They have lots of money. The land parks,
Oh,
Planning and zoning?
making Albany beautiful. Forget what it's called.
okay. Okay, I get that. So, I mean, I guess it does say it towards the walking thing. So I guess we can replace it.
Well, we need to check in with Kobe and Aaron too.
Yeah. Do you agree? Okay. Do you agree?
I do, but I was just thinking about the placement of the bullet point. Like, I'm fine with replacing it there, but like, I feel like depending on where we place it, it could really change like the tone of the equity statement. So, I mean, I'm fine with replacing it with the second sentence, but like, I don't know, what if we added in the very beginning, like we just start off by saying that we recognize that, like, you know, like we just add the second bullet point.
So that would be the city of Albany recognizes that racism and sexism are real, present today, and in everyday life.
I mean, I don't know how much that makes sense, but I'm just thinking of like different ways to insert this bullet point. But I don't know, now that I look at it again, I think replacing it with the second sentence would make most sense.
You know the sandwich method,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, where you, if you're gonna like give some constructive criticism to somebody, you say something nice about how they're doing it or whatever, and then you give the
Yeah.
constructive criticism in the middle. And then, so this is a little bit of a sandwich method type thing. I feel like if we did start with it, it would be more triggering to a lot of people. And I think the first sentence is pretty good.
Okay.
Fostering community, except we have trouble with like how long that list is. But other than that, it sounds to me like we have agreement on Jeanette's suggestion there.
So,
uh,
yeah, okay. And is it weird to say we recognize, like, in both sentences? Or is that, like, well, I don't know.
I think repetition's good.
Okay.
Like, I personally like it, but
it could be we further recognize, and we also recognize that we could just leave it, but we can have somebody wordsmith it, you know.
Knowledge. There's a synonym for it.
Oh, which,
Oh, yeah.
on the first recognize or the second recognize?
Either one. Just synonym. You don't want to say it. Twice.
We acknowledge.
Well, if we keep both as we recognize, then I feel like we can do two sentences without any extra words. But if we do one that's acknowledged, then we feel like we need to add another word, like and, or like, yeah, a connecting word or something. That's only if you have connect the two sentences.
That's the difference. You're in school and I'm done.
I think let's not get into the. We can wordsmith this. We just want to get it,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
basically right.
Good student.
So what would we add from option 3 then? You said there was some stuff in there that you might want to add in.
Is it the city and school leadership one? Or
You don't have to add anything. I just like how it said we recognize the influence.
I like how it's worded.
yeah, I think it's like the city's taking responsibility
Yeah,
for
That's the
stuff.
part.
Yeah.
Like the last sentence, I feel like that wouldn't really go into option 1. So,
I mean, the third sentence, the one that starts with "as a city," can you bring option 3 up on the screen for anybody who's remote? The third sentence in option 3 says, "As a city, we recognize the influence that city and school leadership have in fostering a safe, supportive, and inclusive community." I like that sentence, you know?
I don't really get the school leadership part, because does the city have a
No.
way to?
No, the school, so the city, obviously, that is more like, police and, acceptance into businesses and things like that. On a school level, it is how the teachers, the administration, and everyone approaches learning. So pretty much in the city of Albany, I guess I can't speak for all the schools, but the smallest demographics are those with low socioeconomic status, Black kids, kids with special needs, Latin, and let's see, the ELL. I feel like I'm leaving someone out. Oh, there's very few Native American, but it's not balanced in terms of, okay, all these kids are doing well, cool, we'll keep that. And these kids, they're doing sort of okay or not well, okay, well, we will help them, but it's not the highest priority, because overall, these kids are doing well. And that probably is school models in general, but that is how it relates on a school level as far as influence, because if they tweak some things, then that makes a difference.
I do see that, but the cities don't control the school district, right?
That's correct. The city does
Yeah.
not have any jurisdiction over the schools. But and so we could remove the "and school" there, or we could keep it as a proposal, because we're not telling the schools to do anything. We're just saying we recognize the influence that city and school leadership have in fostering a safe, supportive, and inclusive community. Right? It's not saying, school district, you have to do this, or you have to do that, or, trying to run the school district. So I think it's, also, this came from a student group, and we edited it to make it apply more. But yeah, we could keep the "and school," or we could just take out the "and school" if we're going to use that sentence. I could go either way.
And I was also thinking, this sentence, "as a city," that whole sentence I feel could come after or come before the last sentence for option 1, because then it's saying "as a city, we recognize the power that we have, and then therefore we are going to walk towards creating an inclusive environment." So I think the flow kind of just makes sense there if we do want to incorporate it.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what others think.
Well, I feel like in the equity statement, I feel like we should have stuff that we can do stuff about, and we can't really do anything about school leadership. What are your thoughts?
I agree. As a whole, the sentence I do not like. And I disagree of it having any part in the equity statement. If you're going to include it, my personal belief is to remove the school leadership portion of it. If you're going to include it before your last sentence, like you stated, that is a good sentence structure. I like how it led into and showed the how and the why. But that's if we're going to include it. My general opinion is to not include it at all.
May I ask why?
I don't think that it reads well, and I think that you're overcomplicating an equity statement that already seems like it's becoming complicated. And so the more you keep overcomplicating it, the more you lose people, as we mentioned. We're already talking about a 2-paragraph equity statement. Adding more and more and more doesn't seem to be the problem. The problem needs to be the wording, and the solution behind that is to focus on what you want to say in it and purposely write that correct way. These are all just reiterations, and they're all just discussions that we're talking, and I like how we're having all of the discussions in terms of vocabulary, but I think that we first need to we all need to agree on what we're going to have. Is it going to be one paragraph or two? If it's going to be two, what are those topic sentence, what are we showing in there, and not just continue to add and add and add to it, because we're not really getting anywhere. We're just going longer and longer and longer, it seems.
Okay, thanks. I like that. Yeah.
So I think that's a good point. I like that sentence, but it's true that it doesn't add that much, and we're making it longer. Kobe made a very compelling case. So I'm cool with not adding anything from option 3 at this point. I don't know how other people feel about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Jeanette?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm counting the sentences we do have.
I only see 4 sentences. There's the current first sentence in option 1. There's the 2 sentences in the second part of option 2. And then there's the closing sentence, we are walking towards, as the 4th sentence. I think that's where we're at right now.
That sounds good. And then seems like just what are the specifics?
Well, there was also the question of, was there something, you said that you liked something in number 4.
It was just the immigration status.
Oh, okay. So we don't need to pick anything from 4 to add in at this point?
No, it was just one of the,
Okay.
yeah. And the last one sounds like we are going to be at a rally, so we probably shouldn't do that one.
Yeah, that was something in her research that she found and just and put in here. And I called it option 5 because I just numbered them. So that's, yeah.
I like it. But we're not going to do a rally.
Okay. So we have, I don't think 4 sentences is too much.
That's fine. It's just the 8 things.
Yes. So we need to resolve that. I think at that point, Aaron and I could do a rewrite and start checking in with BIPOC folk around town, basically, represented by the parent engagement groups and the student groups. Because there is no other organized BIPOC groups that I know of. How are we going to handle this thorny question of the 9 sort of groups that we identified?
Okay, my vote is race, gender, ability, because that's the only one that addresses like any sort of special needs. And then, I guess socioeconomic status, because that's financial. Then C, I don't know if it's more important to do gender or sexuality, because that's important, so I don't know. And it's also 2 different, similar, but 2 different things also. So maybe both of those. And then we can say like other and all other differences or something, since there's so many.
And other marginalized groups? Marginalized can trigger people, but some I don't know.
I think differences is fine, but I don't know, maybe some would prefer it to be recognized as marginalized.
Race, gender, ability, socioeconomic status, and
Are we taking out religion? Or,
well, but they would be included in the all other.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, religion is important to me, but also when I'm, experiencing racism, they're not wondering what my religion is.
Very true. Given the heat of the Middle Eastern war and how it's spreading into anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and attacks, like physical attacks, on both Jewish people and people that are perceived as being Arabic or Palestinian or something like that. Maybe because of where the world is right now, maybe we need to put religion in there. And then, but then call it a stop there, and then find some wording, such as "and other marginalized groups" or "other minimized groups" or something. I'm really not sure what the right, what was that?
Underrepresented, underserved.
Underrepresented, underserved. I've got all those ideas down. So, can people live with that? Race, gender, ability, social, economic status, and religion, and then and all other terminology? I can live with that. Yes.
Yes.
Well, it sounds to me like we got marching orders. So a specific proposal, in the form that City Council likes it, right? January 7th.
Okay.
So that needs to get on the January 7th agenda then.
For,
Definitely for action, because it would be, if it's approved, it would then go to council.
and a recommendation to council.
Yeah. It's got to be agendized for action, of course.
Are we done with item 6?
I think we should double check if we have public comment.
Right. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay.
So, okay. Right. Okay, so let's move on now to item 7, subcommittee updates. 7-1 is the Inclusive Sports Subcommittee.
Okay, so not much has been done, except for I looked for potential locations, but there aren't any available for the entire year because there's events and stuff. So I'm looking in the city of Berkeley, actually. I don't really know how that affects it being approved by the city of Albany, but yes, that's currently what I'm doing.
Berkeley and Albany often collaborate on stuff.
Okay.
But there's, because of, I've been part of the soccer world for 500 or 600 years or something. I know a lot of folk, and I could try to hook you up with like the executive director of the Albany Berkeley Soccer Club, who has a big heart and has a lot of permits. And the East Shore Alliance Football Club might be willing to, this is something that I've seen them do similar things before. I don't know what the ask is, but I could at least do some introductions and you could see if,
Sure.
because they are very good at pulling permits. They know it inside and out, backwards and forwards, and,
Okay, thank you.
Also, I think we talked about this like at the talking about this item meeting, but I think remember that it doesn't need to be a work plan item anymore. We can't remove it. Remember, but yeah.
Oh, were we asking? Were we saying we weren't going to work on it anymore?
Well, no, we would work on it, but it doesn't have to be an action item, I think. Wait,
It's not an action item. It's just a subcommittee update.
it's on our work plan. It's on our work plan, right?
But it already got approved.
Yeah. We can't remove it.
Oh,
You remove it by asking the city council.
Yeah, but it's
To
past
amend-
November.
What do you mean it's past November?
I think Isn't it that you can't remove a work plan item after
We
November?
don't need to worry about it, because de facto, if you don't do anything with the item, work plan says you have permission to work on these things. It doesn't say you have to actually spend time on it. Right?
Okay, I don't know. I'm just confused. Okay. Are we?
Well, I was also going to just say, did you try the Park and Rec Department in the schools also?
Yeah, there's a website that you can look, and it's all blocked.
Right.
I have
Anyway,
s-
we could just talk about it one-on-one, and I can,
Okay.
just one more question before we move on, if that's okay. How much field space, how much time are you looking for?
2 hours, 1 hour prep, and then 1 hour for the program. And
2 hours of, say, a soccer field or a football field?
yes.
For,
And it could be even the half of the field. It just means there would have to be less participants.
is it just to get it going, that maybe,
Yeah, and also, I'll just do a pilot instead of like a continuous program. I can just do like one session and then like a clinic type thing, and then do it again another time.
What would be the full thing, like how many weeks?
It's usually about 8 weeks.
Once a week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's options, we'll talk.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any other discussion or updates for 7-1?
Nope.
Okay, that sounds good. And now we'll move to 7-2, which is listening session subcommittee.
Me neither.
Okay,
It can be good if there's somebody who's the convener that will take it upon themselves to make sure that we get together and do something. Because time can fly by in a blink, and then, now the meeting is coming up and stuff. You're already convening the equity one, right? Would you be willing to be the convener for the listening session subcommittee? Great.
okay. Is there any other updates on 7-2? Okay, that sounds good. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay. Now we move on to item 8, which is future agenda items. Currently on the list, I have the equity statement for action, because potential recommendation to council, and updates for subcommittees.
Do you want to have the inclusive sports subcommittee on the agenda or not?
Sure.
Okay. And I would still like, I want to, in terms of agenda items, if you look at the very first page of the agenda, they always put in the commission purpose.
Yeah.
And so it says, the charge of this commission is to advise City Council on the citywide priorities of equity, diversity, accountability, and inclusivity, to address the broad spectrum of intersectional issues across race and social equity within the city of Albany. All right, we're doing that, But the second sentence says, the RISE Commission shall also seek to develop positive relations through the commission's regular monthly meetings as a space to facilitate greater respect and understanding between people, offering opportunities for cultural exchange and education, promote tolerance and mutual respect between all members of the community. We're not doing that, right?
Does that mean here at the meetings?
Yeah, that means basically presentations or agenda items that do this, that foster understanding between people, that offer opportunities for cultural exchanges and education, that promote tolerance and mutual respect, those sorts of things.
Maybe we should change it, because the people that would come to this that we're writing about, the socioeconomic, gender, all that, they're at home.
Well, if they were giving a presentation, they wouldn't be at home, they'd be here.
If I wasn't on this committee, I'd be at home.
Yeah,
Like, I don't see them coming, like, unless they're like that one guy came last time, it's because it's like his program and he had the ability to do that. Like, I know some parents, they're single parents, not
Right,
gonna
right.
come. Or like
Yeah.
families that have kids with special needs, they're definitely not coming because it's
Right.
like a lot, so.
it's too much already, just working and taking care of your family is a lot.
Yes, so-
And maintaining your relationship as
Yeah.
you know, as parents, but, or being a
could
single
pref-
parent.
We could do something different, though, like, that's where it's like actually being able to do something in community. Like, I know they do like the band during the summer, or they do stuff at Memorial Park. Like, that would be actually something people could do, because a number of people have children or connected to families or whatever. They would go to the park to do something during the day or
Yeah.
on the weekend. But, and Tuesday evening after work and whatever else they're doing, it's a really hard ask unless you are like running some program and have time. Like the Gilman track, they came asking for money, like,
Yeah, they were here on a specific agenda item, but we've had in the past with the old commission, we had the parent engagement groups come, and they did a presentation, and it's, in other cases, we've done professionals, like you said, who are working on programs that are adjacent and connected with kind of what we're doing. And so they're willing to show up. I think we had a student group come one time, didn't we? Or we were talking about doing that. So all three of the student groups could come, or one of the student groups could come. If they were doing a presentation to a commission, they would come, right? And it would be, you know, there are some people who watch this online, I know it for a fact, because they've told me. Oh, hi. But also it would be up on YouTube. And so, you know, some people actually watch those. And certainly all their friends and parents would probably watch it since they're up on YouTube.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible for, I mean, this isn't necessarily a presentation, but say like one of the parent engagement groups, they do have monthly meetings, I believe.
Typically.
Could their monthly meeting be here and they talk about whatever they're going to talk about in their meeting, but it be here and they get to be seen and heard? Can that somehow be quote unquote a presentation? 'Cause then they would
I mean,
come.
their meeting is going to run an hour or two. That would be the whole meeting. But they could come and say, look, y'all, here's reality and here's some ideas we have, right? And I think that could be pretty powerful. So, you know, you know, we could ask them to do to do that next month, for example, right? So I'm going to propose that as a possible agenda item. At the end of the day, it's kind of up to you and John to make the agendas. If somebody is arranging for a presentation, sometimes it's staff and sometimes it's a commissioner who makes the arrangement. If it was like we got somebody from the county health to come, county health department, and also from the county mental health department. But at that level, that's staff talking to staff. You know, it works better.
Yeah.
But if we want to invite the Black Parent Engagement Group for a presentation, I'm happy to take the lead on that. Maybe you'd be on the email thread, OG?
Yeah, I'm in the committee, I just can't go
Okay.
to the meetings.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
They're on Thursdays, so.
Yeah. Real life gets in the way. If you, let us know if you're going to agendize it. If you are, I'll work on it and I'll make sure you're in the threads, okay? Jeanette? Basically, I'll talk to at least, it's been 6 months since we talked, but the woman that's in charge of the Black Parent Engagement Group, I'm blanking her name, but I know her, we have a relationship, so. I can ask if she's willing to do that.
How do we go about asking the city council for money? Is that like an agenda item, or is that like a?
Oh, that would, well, you mean just money in general, for just general funding? Or do you mean for a specific item?
So we could do stuff, anything.
Probably it would have to be item by item.
Okay.
So if we wanted to, so if we were offering, say, to run a multicultural day at the park or something, right, whatever we're calling it, and we're saying that we, as a commission, would do it, but we need a certain amount of funding.
Oh, it's like a proposal,
Yeah.
like do all that? Oh, okay.
But we could, it's not that hard to draw up a proposal, right? And then we pass.
No, that part's not hard. It's actually getting the money.
Right. So we put the proposal to the council and they say yes or no, but that's the way we get the money.
Sorry, we're getting kind of deep into discussion here. Future items should
Yeah.
be
Oh, that's right, sorry.
individual.
You're right.
Thank you, sorry.
So would that fit in our current work plan, a proposal like that?
What I just said, oh no, it's fine.
Okay, we could try to get it in a future work plan or something, but okay.
Oh, and also for the future agenda items for a presentation, also should make sure everyone can come here, because we don't want to cancel the meeting on them like last minute.
I can make it on to the next meeting.
Should be fine.
Cool,
Okay.
that's good, okay. Okay, is there any other future agenda items that anyone wants to add? No? 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 Okay, that sounds good. Yep. Okay, now moving on to item 9. Our next meeting is gonna be Tuesday, January 7th, 7 PM. This is wrong, it's supposed to be 2025.
Oh.
Yeah, it's gonna be January 7th, 2025. Okay. And now the meeting is adjourned.